We are live. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio. Place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born to Lie, and we are here with my brother. I know him for about 11 years or so, 10, 11 years. Go back through some things in real life. Definitely an honor to see this African grow and develop and do a lot of different things in a lot of different capacities. So I'm anxious to hear his thoughts. We got an author, we got a lecturer, we got a father, we got a husband, we got a Pan-African, we got a researcher, we got a multitude of things that come out of one mind. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some and present to others. My brother, your brother, Blak Panther.
Lafayette Mandela, baby Fuhuye. Appreciate the intro, brother.
That's all love. It is all love. So, unlike most of the people that's on this thing, we go back in real life
Indeed.
a long ways. So
Indeed.
um, always glad to see you. So I think I'll start with this. During your time in these, trenches, you done held many different positions and seeing this thing from a lot of different angles and capacity. Uh, what are some of your biggest lessons learned from this community thus far?
Biggest lessons learned from the community is be hesitant to speak in all encompassing terms. And what I mean by that is we have a propensity and a tendency to say, well, all Africans do this. Well, all black folks do this. Ain't no black folks that do this. The more you get into African customs, cultures, and traditions, you will find some things that you didn't think African people did, but they do. And you'll see that replicated amongst us, the Africans in America, that we didn't know had a continental root. So be slow to speak in encompassing terms is what I would say first off.
Okay. Now, you being of African origin, your family, I definitely want to ask you this question. The relationship between Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora, particularly here in the United States of America, what can we do to raise more awareness, and what should we know about each other to help bridge these gaps and to improve our relationships with one another?
Well, we gotta start hanging out with each other. Basically, you don't get to learn the people from the outside. So we have to drop our bias. We have to drop what we've heard. We have to drop what we think we know, and get to know each other. Me having an African father and an African American mother, that wasn't an option for me. So I got to know both sides pretty well. Um, I would also say, you know, we have to at least visit Africa. We have to do that, not only from a origin standpoint, that being our home, but from a relation standpoint to get to know African culture. There's only so much you can read. There's only so much you can study. There's only so much, that you can learn from language. Some of the things in African culture are to be experienced. And if we're not experiencing those things, we're not getting the narrative from the African people. We may be getting the narrative from the missionaries that first came, or from the UNICEF people that come, but we're not getting the African narrative, and that's important. because the African narrative tells the story of us. And that's the story that's going to resonate the most with us because we're going to be able to identify with that. So we got to get that narrative and not the narrative from, somebody else. We got to get firsthand, primary information from our brothers and sisters in the continent and in the United States. As I said earlier, we just got to start hanging out with each other, ask them some questions, get to know his culture. He get to know your culture, even though our culture is an extension of theirs. Things have changed since we've been in America. So we have our own nuances. They have their own nuances. So get to learn those nuances and start to build that bridge between here and there. Invest. There's a lot of land opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities to start businesses. There's a lot of opportunities to make money in Africa. So get into that. People talk about bridging the wealth gap. This is one of the ways you can do it. There, particularly, Ghana, particularly Nigeria, particularly Benin, has reached out and said, come home. So, even if you don't plan to stay, you can look at it from a business aspect and look at those opportunities. And by that way, you automatically bridge the gap because when you arrive there, you're going to give off an impression, and that impression is going to leave, you know, that memory in the hearts and minds of the people that you affect. So, that's a great way to do it. My brother, Dynasty Mir, he travels all over, and when he goes to the continent, he leaves that impression. That's a great way to bridge the gap. Travel different places in Africa, interact with business, interact with commerce, and nothing's going to change overnight. But this is going to be a generational project, just like we're in a generational war.
All right, so uh, you're the one that I know that's a straight shooter. What what have your interactions been like back and forth in regards to your travel to different places on the continent? The overall reception that you would say to us.
Well, I'll break it down by region because I think sometimes the all-encompassing narrative we miss some things. So I've been to Africa 4 times. I've been to 3 places. I started out going to Egypt. I've been to Egypt twice. Then I went to West Africa. I went to Senegal, and then I went to South Africa. I went to Johannesburg. Egypt was wonderful to see. Wonderful to see the history. Wonderful to see the ruins. Wonderful to see the architecture, the science, the math, everything our great ancestors left behind. But if you are looking to interact with African people, you will not find that many in the Egyptian, you know, country today, and that's basically based off of us being, ran out at a certain period and being replaced with people that aren't native to that land. The closer you get to what is now called Sudan, uh, Tasseti area, you will start to see us. There's a village in Aswan that's named after Dr. Ben. You'll see some Africans there, but it's just not a lot. And unfortunately, it's now populated by a lot of Arabs. So if you're looking to interact with African people, that may not be the trip for you. Senegal, on the other hand, also has a wealth of history, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of things you can see, and African people are certainly there. You will get to interact with African people. You will get to learn their customs and traditions. And I had a wonderful time in Senegal. Um, you know, I met some amazing people. I met some amazing people that were willing to interact with me and answer my questions. Especially if you go to Gorée Island. If you're not familiar with Gorée Island is a slave dungeon. It's somewhere you can take a tour, see what your ancestors endured, see where they stayed, how they were treated, go to the door of no return, things like that. So Gorée Island was wonderful because we had a tour guide, that took us everywhere, showed us everything. and it's a must go, when you go to Senegal. But I will warn people that not a lot of people in Senegal speak English. They speak either French or the native language Wolof. Fortunately, I have a niece that lives there that was able to take care of that part for me. So if you're not really a French speaker or a Wolof speaker, this may, or you can't get like someone that can go with you, this may not be the trip for you. I would suggest Gambia because it's right next to Senegal, and they're known as the smiling coast of Africa. Very friendly people. My father's from there. Uh, I think you would have just as great of a time in Gambia as you would have in Senegal. Uh, the last place I've went so far is South Africa, Johannesburg, and it was really a last minute trip. But what I got out of Johannesburg is something I did not expect at all. Johannesburg was amazing. There's so many historical things you can go see in Johannesburg. You can go to the Renaissance Monument. You can go to, they have a science museum. You can go to the Lion Park. You can go on a safari. You can go just so many places in Johannesburg for tourism, but it's not like corny tourism. It's not like resorts and beaches. No, it's informative. It's educational. You can bring your children. I brought mine. They have a cave there, which they call the Cradle of Humankind, where some of the first African remains were found, and they have a whole entire museum dedicated just to that. And the people are very nice. The people speak English in Johannesburg. Uh, they have malls in Johannesburg. First mall I ever been in, named after a black man, Nelson Mandela Square. So it's a great experience to be around your own people, communicate with your own people, and just see how they live. One thing, they drive on the opposite side of the street. You might get used to that. The steering wheel's on the other side of the car. You might have to get used to that. But other than that, man, it's a real smooth transition from the American life to Johannesburg. And it's just so much for you to see and do. I think people would really enjoy it. And like I said, the people were great, wonderful, friendly. They told me the history of certain areas when I went. I got mistaken for a Zulu a few times, but other than that, man, it was just great. I had a great time, and I would recommend it.
Now you took your whole fam over there. What was it like for
Absolutely.
your children? For your children hearing the narratives and taking everything in. What was that experience like for them?
They learned a lot uh, because previously, me and my wife went to Egypt. Me and my wife went to Senegal. We wanted to give them that experience because so many of us, unfortunately, don't make it to the motherland. So we wanted to give them that experience off the jump. We wanted them to see, what they were reading about and learning about, and that was crucial for me for their development. You know, because we all know the narrative that gets uh, put out there in America. The huts and people with no clothes and all this other stuff. We wanted to see that Africa has cities. Africa has malls. Africa has basically everything we have. And we went out to restaurants and then we ate locally and we did all these things so they could get a variety of experiences. We stayed in a very, very nice hotel. It was kind of like a villa almost, and all of us were in there and it was affordable. It's the other thing about Africa. Most of the places you go in Africa, your dollar is going to stretch because of the conversion rate. So that's something to take into account if you don't know. But I had to give my children that experience so they can never say in their life, I've never been to the motherland. And like I said, if you read Amos Wilson, Marimba Antony, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, they talk about that being crucial for a child's development. So that's something. My wife was the brainchild of that, and we made it happen.
All right. So, for you, how did you get your particular start in the community? And I would say in the community, what has been your biggest takeaway from being around the who's who and the everybody and everything and the people in our community?
My particular start in the community, I was I started watching um, Sonnetter TV. I've been studying years before that, but I didn't really know a lot of people like me. So I started watching it, just caught it on YouTube one day. And, I saw a group that I took a liking to called the Amara Squad. And just watching them, being impressed with the scholarship, these brothers was reading Medu Neter and all that other stuff. I said, man, that's really dope that they can do that. I hope I get to meet them brothers one day. I didn't really think too much of it. I ended up coming home to Atlanta for a while, and I went to one of my favorite spots, which is Healthful Essence in Atlanta. It's like a Caribbean vegan spot. It's really good food. When I noticed Brother Unk was in the parking lot, and recognizing him from the channel, I came up to him, introduced myself. I was actually on my way to Egypt, like in a few days when I saw him. So he showed me some of his presentation that he was going to present at the Evolution Conference at the time. So, I'm just looking at it, soaking it all in. I go to Egypt. When I fly to Egypt, I go through New York. Consequently, the conference was in New York a day after I got back from Egypt. So I stayed in New York an extra day, and I attended the conference. Met Brother Asari Motep, met some other brothers that was there. And me and Unc exchanged numbers that time. And just talking with him, and I told him that, I had a desire to teach. So he put me in that position. I had a lot of photos from Egypt. So we did a show where I just showed my photos, talked about what I saw and things like that. And from then, you know, just kept speaking, kept coming on shows, kept putting down information. And eventually I was in a position to where people wanted to hear what I had to say. So that's how I pretty much got my start in the community, so to speak. One thing I can take away from the community, and people might be mad at me when I say this, but there's a lot of personalities in this community, of different types, of different walks of life, different philosophies, different schools of thought. But very few of them actually know how to research. Very few of them know how to vet sources. Very few of them know how to present arguments and what that means to present an argument. And the old saying where they say, don't meet your heroes, they'll let you down. Well, a couple of them let me down, but it is what it is. I've also met some amazing people in this community. I've met Baba and Mama Baruti. Fortunate enough to live in the same city as them. I've met Mama Marimba. I was very honored to meet her. And the list goes on. I've met a lot of great people in this community that are striving for change. And I would say don't let the people that have not got to a certain point discourage you, because the best people in this community are the people you haven't heard of. They're the people that are really putting in work that you may not know of. And it's not all it's not all the time about the people we know. Always seek for those scholars that you haven't heard of, because you may be missing some really great information. And fortunately, uh, I've experienced that firsthand. So that's the message I would put out. There's some great people in this community. We got some knuckleheads, but we just gonna work on them.
And you went to Kemet with Baba Quasi. What was that like on a Baba Quasi tour?
Yes, I went twice with Baba Kwesi. Um, the first time I was tired of reading and I wanted to experience, and it was a great tour. We started in Cairo, traveled to Luxor, then traveled to Aswan, and what people may not know is those are plane rides away. We had to take plane rides inside of Egypt because everything in Egypt is not in the same place like I thought it would be. Um, Even when you see the pyramids, the Giza Plateau, that's in Cairo. Um, you'll go to another part of Egypt and they'll have the temples. You go to another part of Egypt and you'll see more writing. So it's spread out throughout the country. It's spread out. It's not just this one particular area. There's so many archaeological sites throughout that country, and you almost have to take a tour when you go there because if, for example, if you stayed in Cairo and you just looked at the pyramids and you got to see the Dashur pyramid, the Red Pyramid. Uh, you went to Saqqara, you seen the Step Pyramid of King Josher. You're seeing some great archaeological sites, but you didn't get to see any Medu Neter. You got to go further down to see a lot of the writing. You got to go to Luxor when you see all of the writing. Uh, or you can go to Teti's pyramid and see the pyramid text, but it's not a lot of writing in Cairo. You got to get out of Cairo and go to another city to see more of that. And then when you see that, if you want to see Ursamat Rasep Tepenra Ramesu Mary Amen, known as Ramesu II's temple, you got to go all the way down to Aswan, to a site called Abu Simbel, in which it's probably the most impressive temple in Egypt, well preserved temple for him and temple for his wife. So um, it's well preserved and just great pictures and things in there. You got to see that. So it's almost like you got to take a tour, some type of tour, to see all that you need to see in Egypt. Baba Kwesi has a great tour. Brother Ankh Benu has a great tour. Brother Tony Browder has a great tour. See if I'm leaving. I know Renoku Rashidi has a tour through Egypt. I actually saw Baba Renoku when I was in Egypt. So he has a good tour. Get with one of those brothers if you want to go to Egypt. I would recommend that versus doing it by yourself because there's so much you need to see and you may not even know where to go. But Baba Kwesi's been going to Egypt since the time of Dr. Ben, so he knows where to go. He knows where to take you, how much it's going to cost, how much money to bring. He knows all of that. So he has, the experience to put you in a position to see great things. So it was a great tour, and you'll get a lot out of it.
Now you had a love moment over there. I'm not gonna skim by that because I seen the pictures. Okay, you had a love moment over there because
um,
I had seen the
yeah,
pictures. Okay, so
my
what
me
was
and my
that
wife
like?
did an Egyptian marriage ceremony conducted by Ashra Kwesi in the temple of Ibn Reset, uh, which is known as no, I'm sorry, it was Ibn Sut, which is known as Karnak. Um, so we did our marriage ceremony in that temple, and that was one of the things that um, we wanted to do, and we were happy to do it there. We were already married, but we wanted a special type of ceremony, which was in Karnak Temple, known as Ippadasut.
All right. So how long you been writing? You got into writing, published a few things. So what was that process like for you getting into writing?
Well, I've always been writing. Um, you know, bachelor's degree, master's degree, been writing for a while. So I decided to start writing in the community with my first book that I co-authored called Aaron Knows About Africa, currently still on Amazon, about a boy learning about Africa. I co-wrote that with Naomi Hill Bradley, and we published a second book called Ikaro Mama, Ikaro Daddy. Um, Ekaro is good morning in the language of the Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria, and it talks about how children, greet their mother and father and in their culture. And that was our second children's book. After that, I wrote a few articles. Hotep N Word, which had over 10,000 hits, basically highlighting how a word of ignorance like the N word should not be placed with Hotep, and calling people derogatory terms like Hoteps and all of that is foolishness, and that half the people that do that don't know how to spell, read, or write the word Hotep, let alone know all of its meanings. So that was one of my biggest articles. I published more articles after that. And then I got an inspiration from a brother named Siri McDougal, who is a professor at San Francisco State University. He was talking on Brother Asar Imhotep's show about the need for Pan African journals. He said, we don't have enough Pan African journals. We need to create more Pan African journals. The only one that I could think of was JPAS, Journal of Pan African Studies. Um, And when he said that, well, I said, well, I could do that. I could produce a journal. So I produced a journal. We got myself, Unc Banu, Baba Baruti, Sari Motep, Ujawu, uh, many other people, Brother Sean, Brother Kofi. A lot of people contributed to that first journal, in which was the first journal in the conscious community, the first Pan African journal in the conscious community. So we published that about 2 years ago, and we are now in the production phase of the second volume. The journal is called Killmonger's Corner, and that's also on Amazon if you would like to purchase. And Killmonger's Corner Volume 2 will be out before the end of the year. I'm currently editing the second volume right now, and we just had powerful scholars in there, man. We got Brother Sinev from MBK. We got so many people that contributed great stuff. Brother Kevin Kufu, Mintu Hotep from Raising Awareness Group. There's a lot of people in this journal contributing great articles. So I would suggest picking it up. It also has art in it. It also has poetry in it. It also interviewed Oba Atayese Odun Ogulanu, who was crowned a king in Nigeria. We interviewed Dr. Ma'at. We interviewed Brother Asari Motep. So there's a lot you can get out of this book. And we just reopened for part 2 right now.
So you got a writing family over there. You also have
I do.
a wife who is an amazing, amazing writer and poet.
That is
So
correct.
y'all in there just doing that
She,
thing, huh?
well, I don't know if who inspired who, but we started writing. She published a book called Perceptions of a Misplaced African, Volume 1, which is also on Amazon. Um, and she is a poet. She's a writer. She has a channel called Lili La Poete Speaks, which we do the Myths Debunk series together. She also does other random things on the channel, clothing hauls, you know, different videos about a variety of topics. And she also contributed a poem to the first volume of my journal. So I know she has another book that she's working on. So that's going to probably come out soon. So we like to produce things. I'm a co-founder of the Mossy Warrior Clan, and my thing with founding that group of young scholars was we wanted to change the narrative. A lot of groups, a lot of organizations, a lot of people like to do a lot of talking. We wanted to do a lot of producing. So that was the fire that I wanted to put in my group. And since then, brother Kofi has founded his own team, Kofi Pie Side TV. They've produced a book, Spears of the Mossy, which I wrote the forward for. Um, you know, we got brother Sean, who's wrote in my journal, Spears of the Mossy. He's got his own articles. He writes things. We got brother Amin Ma'at Ra. And if you don't know who Amin Ma'at Ra is, you are slipping. That brother has one, two, three, four, five books on Amazon. And it's about a multitude of topics. So he's producing things. We got brother Nahisi working on a book. We got brother Fortune Favorite who does music. We got a couple of his videos on the Mossy Warrior Clan channel. I'm trying not to leave nobody out. Oh, we got brother Urban Historian, who's a student right now in college for paleontology. He's putting in work. He's got 2 articles in the up and coming journal. I mean, we just produce. Of course, we got brother Unk. You know, he's got his book on evolution. You can find that on Amazon as well. We just like to produce. You know, a lot of people like to debate, argue, talk, and that's necessary at times. But for us, we like to produce. You know, we're not a blog show. We're not broadcast journalists. We're none of that. We're a bunch of young scholars that take this seriously, and we like to produce. We like to produce things for the public, so you don't have to believe what we say. Our references and work speak for itself.
All right, all right, all right. You got a shout out from your better half right there, real quick. You understand? I need you to see that.
I see she is in the building. Love you, mama.
So this, I want to get with a functional definition, um, based off of travel, based off experience, based off research, based off history. Um, Pan African. What does it mean to be a Pan African?
A functional definition of Pan Africanism. Pan Africanism, and we're talking about something that covers a wide variety of things, but Pan Africanism, in essence, is the thought process or philosophy that all Africans are linked together for one aim and one destiny, and that we should support the unity of Africans worldwide. And we do that through a multitude of things, whether it's scholarship, whether it's economics, whether it's spirituality, whether it's art, whether it's mathematics, whatever it is. You should be working towards the goal of unity. Now we don't wait for the entire globe to unite to do something, but that is what we push. Excuse me. That's what we push, believe, and exude through our works. So Pan Africanism is built on that. It's built on the continental African, the diasporan African coming together to achieve power in a way that can impact Africans' lives globally, so that we start to become a world power and respected in society.
All right, so I say the best 2 questions for last. Uh, let's talk about the particular African tradition that you are part of, and what was it about this particular tradition that was an attracted to you?
Okay. Um, yeah, I knew this was coming at some point. I practice what is called Isheshe. Uh, Isheshe is the indigenous Orisha worship of the Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria. Some people say Ifa. That's kind of a misnomer. Ifa is not a name for an entire tradition, but one tradition inside of Isheshe. The word Isheshe means primordial, so it's pointing to the primordial tradition of the land, the first. They have a phrase, Isheshe Bokbo Wao, which basically means may the tradition stay with us. And us are the keepers of the traditional Orisha worship that comes out of southwestern Nigeria. So that is what I practice. I chose to practice this way because of a few things. Number one, I am a West African. And being that I am a West African, I wanted to practice a West African tradition and culture. I wanted to see things through my ancestors' eyes. You know, we talked about earlier how if you don't get that experience, you can end up seeing things through others' eyes. But I wanted to see it the way my ancestors and current members of my family see it. So I decided to pick this particular vehicle to express my African heritage. And it's something I've been doing for about 5 years. I am initiated to Ifa. I am initiated to Ogun. I am in training currently to become a proficient priest in both areas. The training is going to be something that's lifelong, so I'll always be learning. Um, and it's just something to I can speak to it as bettered my life, changed my perspective of things, and connected me with people not only on the continent but other places that I never thought it would connect me to. So this is what I do. This is what my family does, and I wanted to be the one to break the cycle of the Abrahamic faith in our lineages, in our lines. My father was a Muslim. My mother was somewhat Christian. I wanted to break that cycle and start to institute the African side into our family, so we can at least have, you know, a few of us that they can look back and say, "Oh no, he practiced this, he did this," and you know, it wasn't like that with him. And I feel like this generation is responsible for that. If that is your goal, you have to do it. You have to do it because you don't know what the next generation is going to hold. You have to be the one to end that cycle if that's what you wish to do. And I feel like that's happening a lot just with this generation. So that's what I wanted to do. So I did it.
All right. All right. So I got two questions left. The second to last question is Black Panther. What did you think, being an avid person who walked in a certain kind of path in regards to the comic book tradition versus that thing we saw on the screen? That thing we saw on the screen here a few years ago.
I don't think I ever even explained why I'm Black Panther. So let me start with that. Black Panther has always been my favorite superhero, from a child. You know, when they first announced back in 2003 that they were doing an Avengers movie, my first light bulb said, he was an Avenger. Maybe we'll get to, maybe we'll get to Black Panther. And then, took us 10 years, but we got there at some point. um, Black Panther in the comics, for people that read the comics, it's so he's a little more aggressive. He's a little more I'll just say this. He's more African in the comics than he is or he was on the screen. Not that I didn't like the movie, but in the comics, he takes a more authoritative stance for Africa than he did in the movies. Um, he man, Black Panther and his father in the comics were nothing to be played with at all. And they defended not only Wakanda but other areas of Africa. And that's just what it was. They toned him down a bit for the movies. You know, it still had a lot of the cultural motifs. It still was what I would consider mostly comic book accurate, but definitely not the personality of the Black Panther in the comics. And for those that don't want to read comics, I would say the closest that you could get to where you could get into the mind frame of how he acts in the comics is the Black Panther series. It's a cartoon, and I believe Jamon Honsu did his voice, the brother from Amistad. He did his voice in this cartoon, and you can find it
Yeah.
on Apple Music. You can find it there. You probably can find it online as well, and it's just called Black Panther. And you will get into the mind frame of the comic book Black Panther and how he's a little more serious um, than Chadwick Boseman's version. So it's always been my favorite. And when I start to speak about certain issues, that is the name that came up. Now I realized they were referencing uh, Huey P. Newton in the boys, but I took it a different direction. Reason why I did that is because I've always looked at Wakanda as a model for African success. What I mean by that is in Wakanda, they have the best of both worlds. They have technology that that surpasses, the Western world. But they did not abandon their ancestral traditions, and they still pray to their panther deity. They still have the land of the dead. They still have the ceremonies when you become Black Panther, so on and so forth. So I think that's something that we can incorporate into the Black experience in America and for African people worldwide. We can have our science, but we cannot neglect or negate our ancestral practices because we can't continue to advance by thinking our ancestors were demons and devil worshippers. It's not going to work. It didn't work. The Chinese didn't do that. The Japanese didn't do that. When the samurai was rendered ineffective because of technology, they didn't curse the samurai and say that he was a devil worshiper and say that it was evil. They kept them samurai statues up as homage. They just moved on with technology. That's it. So we have to do a similar thing. We have to praise our ancestors and appreciate their traditions. But we can improve in technology. We can get more satellites that are orbited out of Africa instead of the United States. We can get better medicine. We can get better schools that teach things like coding and the next wave of the future, the bitcoins and all that. We can have all of that. We have the most world's resources in Africa, so there's no reason why we're in the state that we're in other than being looted and oppressed by different nations. But Sheikh Anta Diop talks about in the book Black Africa how we can use these resources in a variety of ways uh, to basically be sovereign and self-sufficient and have an African federated state. And that's something I believe we should move towards. And that's something that you will actually see on a smaller scale amongst the Black Panther comics. You know, that's one thing they have, because people got to remember, Wakanda is a summit of different tribes, and that's actually an African motif because Egypt's a summit of different tribes. Uh, Ile Ife, amongst the Yoruba people, that's a summit of different tribes. You know, all of these African nations and empires we see are summits of different tribes when you start going into their history. And this is why they have so many languages. So, being that I saw that amongst the comic books of Black Panther, I wanted to try to use that as a working model for Black people and something that we can build. We got Brother Akon right now trying to build it in Senegal, Crypto City. I applaud his efforts. But we're going to need more than one city. We're going to need a bunch of cities. So there's still, much work to be done. And, we got to just keep pushing.
All right, so the final question is, what can we expect from Black Panther in this coming conference, and give the people a reason why they should be in attendance?
Um, my topic is called Iwa Rere, Why We Can't Build a Nation Without It. And for those that are not familiar with Iwa Rere, it means good character. And I will break down why you can have all the technology, the science, the money, everything else. But if you don't have people with good character, it will crumble and it will not be sustained and it will fall into chaos. And I will be reaching into our African traditions as examples of why, and show what they said about good character. I'm going to show you what Garvey said about good character and building, you know? So it's going to be something to where it's going to be a cultural instruction as well as a nation building instruction, because we have to be nation builders. We cannot rely on changing the current nation we're under for those of us that are in the United States. We have to do what Garvey wanted us to do, what Amos Wilson wanted us to do, what all of our great scholars wanted us to do, and that's build our own.
All right, so y'all got the date right here, the 14th of August, 11:45 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. in the Red Room. You know, this child old goon said I'm be in the damn Red Room. Okay, so he
Coincidence, right? Maybe not.
maybe not. So final thoughts for you. Definitely thank you. For your time. I know we on different time zones and in different parts of the water. So thank you for your time, and final thoughts, acknowledgments, shout outs, and let people know where to find you, how to book you, and how to get your books again one more time, and your journey.
Okay. I'm going to try to do this and not forget anybody, because I usually forget something or somebody, and then people hit me up, man, you ain't say, and oh man, I forgot. So let me try to do this. All right. My website is Blak Pantha, The way it's spelled, BlakPanthaSerer.com. That's my website. That's where you can find most of my videos, my articles from some members of my team, etc. My YouTube channel is Blak Pantha, just like it's spelled, BlakPantha. The Pan African Journal that we published a few years, about 2 years ago now, is Killmonger's Corner, in which you can put that into Amazon and find it. It will come up, Killmonger's Corner. You'll be able to tell when you find it. My wife's YouTube page, Lele La Poete Speaks, LELELAPOETESPEAKS. Lele La Poete Speaks. My scholarship group, the Mossy Warrior Clan, they are also on YouTube. Type in Mossy Warrior Clan. You will find us there. MOSSI is how you spell Mossy. Kofi Paisai TV research team has a book called Spears of the Mossy. Type that into Amazon, you will find it. I'm trying to think if I forgot anybody. I believe that is it. If I forgot anybody, I apologize, but charge it to my head, not my heart. You can find me on Instagram. It's the same name as my website, Blak Pantha Serer. You can find me on Facebook by my government name, Benjamin Njai. Last name is spelled Njie. So that's where you can find us, and we appreciate all your support. And we're just going to keep putting out quality works for your children, quality works for yourself, things to spark conversations, advance knowledge, so on and so forth. I'm looking forward to this conference. There are some dynamic speakers on this conference, and we're just trying to bring awareness to people that don't know and fire up people that do know, to continue Garvey's message, to continue, the legacy of great Africans pushing toward liberation and sovereignty. So I hope you've bought your tickets. I hope you will be in the place, because it's going to be some good instruction given out. And do not forget our brothers, United Front, who are partially responsible for putting this together. They got some music coming out with brother Doc Monty and University Ave. So visit, I think it's UF. Is it Asafo UF or UF Asafo? I can't remember right now. But visit United.
UFAsafo.com.
Say it again.
UFAsafo.com.
UFAsafo.com. And you will see the advertisement. They got shirts, new shirts. They got music. And if you ain't got the old music, you need to get that. These brothers are rappers for the movement, the soundtrack that will eventually be our success. So pick that up, and because they are very instrumental in putting this all together. Uh, brother, how do you say the brother's name? Starts with an A.
Alias.
Alice. Brother Alice, I appreciate you inviting me. He's also instrumental in putting this thing together. So, all praises due. And to Brother Knowledge Born, over a decade I known you. Here's to another decade of health and prosperity, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Your wife said, brother, on the channel. Don't get
Ah,
whooped, man.
Real
Don't get
Black
whooped.
Atheists on Fire. That's his channel. Real Black Atheists on Fire. I think I got everybody.
Right. Well, definitely again, thank you for your time, my brother. We got Brother Alias in the building.
Peace and Black Power. Africans, I see y'all building. I apologize for my delay.
Peace, brother. It's good seeing you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's always good seeing your voice or hearing your voice, seeing you. Oh man. I was actually on the I was on the other line with Dr. Kamani Nahisi. Let me get this glare out.
That brother got the red, black, and green drapes.
And he was talking my ear off, trying to see if we can get him to get caught up in this whirlwind with us. So yeah, I apologize, man. Man, Brother Black, this is my first time having an opportunity to really speak to you. I want to tell you, man, I appreciate your work. I appreciate your positions. I always appreciate your clarity. Your warrior spirit, your warrior character, man. Keep up the work. I'm honored to have you, join on with us to be a part of this collective work. I mean, I think that you bring great value. This thing is going to, be historic, and because you're a part of it, I know it's going to be fair, and objective.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate the opportunity. And, it's always great to be amongst great minds. It's always great when great minds can put things together. So, we're going to put it together for the people and, make Garvey proud.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brother Knowledge Born, I apologize for coming on your into your space without saying peace and Black Power to you. I appreciate you for providing this platform for the speakers to get reacquainted and acquainted to some. Um, Man, we cannot minimize what you're doing for this event. And hey, thank you for always having us here. Peace and Black Power, Black man, and keep standing the way you stand. It's a beautiful thing to see and be a part of with you as well.
Hey, Black Panther known me for a decade. If I was out here false flagging, he'd pull me out. He'd call me out. You know what I'm saying? Call me right on out there. So
you're right.
Yeah. You can't purport to be about African people and the liberation of African people and ain't prepared to do no sacrifice. So for the rest of the people that are here that are listening, we got about 4 more shows today. So I will see who got that African intestinal fortitude to roll with us for these next 4 shows. We got a Black Survival show. But before that, at 4 o'clock, we got the Black Love African couple, Bob Masato and Mama Nuasha coming on. Adu will be there here at 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock, we got the African Coalition press conference / conglomerate about to come, at 5 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, we got a Black Survivor Doc class here. And then at 9 o'clock, we got Dr. Baba Samari Sekou, aka Dr. Samari Kamara of
Oh
Kamali
yeah,
Academy.
I done bought clothes from that brother. He does the Nukari line.
Yeah, he's fresh.
My whole closet
He got
filled with his clothes.
Yeah, he
Good
got the
brother right
freshness of the freshness. So yeah,
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping y'all keep that African energy and don't be getting Urugu on me and not showing up. Urugus show up, they don't show up and they show up late. Okay, so let's get that away from us. I'm the only colored people I know. So they talk about colored people time. Yeah, and they steal. They show up late and they steal. And they stay.
Absolutely.
So, my brother Black Panther, I appreciate you. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. I know you got some things to do.
Absolutely. Black power to all y'all and Alafia
Black
Mandala
power.
Bibi Fahudie. Odabo.
Maybe 40.
No doubt. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works.
Brother Knowledge Born.
So what you got?
Every day, man. You bring them on. I'm seeing this thing come together. I'm seeing the intensity and the passion, of the people that's ready to, disseminate information to the people. And if people have not went to www.dtc1, that's the number one.org yet, they're missing out. They're missing out. And the thing about it is the links are going fast. We only have so many spaces available. Now, if we have to increase, admission, we'll do that. But I hope that people get in and because we have some scholars that's ready. We have warrior scholars that's ready to put in that work, and they're gonna lay things to waste. All that foolishness, miseducation, diseducation, outright ignorance. You know what I'm saying? They bring a slaughter to it. From the first time, I think that breakout room then is gonna open, and it's gonna, you're gonna have no other choice but to get caught up. You're gonna have to have no choice to get caught up in 100 years in the whirlwind. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be a beautiful African experience. Um, and I think that why I don't know why I keep saying I think. I know that everybody that's a part of this, because they are so sincere, they're going to bring you their best work. So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. I mean, what's blacknificent, as to use the term coined by Baba Campbell Kamba. So I'm excited, man. I'm super excited. Sometimes I have to contain myself because if my wife ever got online and told y'all how I was around here dancing and behaving and acting like a giddy little kid, y'all probably wouldn't believe it. But people might be subject to get scooped up and spun around in a little circle. When I think about this thing that we're a part of, and I think about what we are providing, for our people, and it's important because nobody else ain't gonna do it, nor should anybody else do it. I think that the thing that they've done is given us an opportunity, and with this whole pandemic thing, because it has really allowed us to make those connections. Just like Brother Ben said at the beginning of the interview, it's about you won't know unless you talk and you hang out with. Well, this platform, this virtual platform, allows us to make those connections, across great distance. It allows us to see, who's really in line with those things that we talk about, to see if we have, real similarities, or we just playing around. And I think that, what we've done is we've made connections all around the world. And I don't think they plan for that. So one of the things that we have to do after the 14th through the 16th, we must remain connected. We must remain close. We must continue to build together. In fact, I suggest that, because this is out of my knowledge of expertise, but we need to build a virtual house of life where everybody continues to do what it is they're doing, but it's a place that those that know and those that don't know can come and learn. And then what we need to do is we need to offer classes, whether it's technical skills or literature or the sciences, whatever it is. It needs to be a place that Africans can come to, and we institutionalize it to the point where it becomes a mainstay, and then we begin to disseminate information intergenerationally. That's what has to be done from this moment. We can't let this be, an isolated event. We can't. We fail if we do that. And that's not what, Baba Garvey, may peace be upon him, had in store for us. Yes, we've done step A, which is make the connections. Now we got to do step B, which is build. Step C is continue to build. And that's how we prevent a lot of the things that happens, because from that building, from that house of life, as Aikwe Arma told us, we can begin, like you said, to build that social theory. Because without a social theory, then we still stuck, in your reason, trying to figure things out. And your reason is not our way. It's a dialectical opposition. It's in dialectical opposition to our way. again, to use Aikwe Arma. So, we have to be clear about, what it is that we're trying to do. So yes, we want to do something beautiful. Yes, we want to, be able to celebrate and commemorate, those, who, handled it in the paint. But we also have to understand that our most important, our greatest responsibility is to our children and to the yet unborn, because those are the ancestors returned. So, that's my clarion call to everybody that's a part of this. Let's make sure we keep those relationships close, bind it. It's okay to agree to disagree, because we're African, and sometimes we may see different answers to different solutions, but that's okay. Just because we disagree don't mean you have to go back over in your neck of the woods, and I go off under my rock. We got to keep this thing together. We got to continue to build. It has to be a collective from here on out. The virtual tools that they have put out there gives us that ability to always stay together, to check on one another, and make sure that we are okay. No one should feel isolated. First of all, you shouldn't feel isolated anyways, because you're surrounded by ancestors. That's one. But two, if you want flesh and bone, I may not necessarily be able to touch my brother Knowledge Born, but God dog it, what I'm saying? I know at any moment he can call me. He know I'm coming. He knows I'm always tuned in, because my actions have proven that. So I think that that's the most important thing we have to do. From this moment, we have to continue to stick together. We have to continue to plow the road. We have to continue to do the things that are necessary for our people to have viable options to your reason and your Urugus. Because if we don't, then we fail. Because another thing that will happen, if we will be sadly mistaken if we think that they're not tuned in, and they'll pick up, and then they'll come in, and then they'll co-opt this whole thing that we're trying to build. So what we have to do is we have to fortify, we have to build, and we have to build in such a way that we can be infiltrated. So like you said, because people will come in false flag, and they do it all the time. They like to beat their chest and talk like this right here, but when it comes to real building, they're not in that, or they want to be the prince of this or the King Kong of that. Those things. We need building. We have to. And we have to build things that are sustainable. We have to build things that we can bequeath to our children, so they can infuse their, youth and ingenuity, so that it can go further than what we ever dreamed. So that's my little spiel. But make sure that you and your family head over to www.dtc1.org. That is www.D as in David Walker, T as in Thomas Sankora, C as in Carlin Ferguson, and the number 1.org. Get your tickets for an African experience that you will never forget. It's going to be historic. It is going to be historic.
That's right. I'm gonna start doing a poll over here. Everyday people who tune in, like say something if you got your tickets already. Okay, you know, look, I ain't never seen these Africans work as hard as they doing right now. I'm gonna tell you that. These Africans, we kind of get into the little grooves and stay, in the little motions. Like, all right, well, I got something out there. They're gonna see what's going on. Like, no, constantly, every single day has been some kind of update, some kind of upgrade, some kind of change, some kind of, visual transformation that's there, that's leading up. And I believe that every day going forward into the conference, there will be some kind of something, some kind of this, some kind of that. So I'm telling you, I see a whole bunch of stuff that's going on right now in front of our eyes, and a lot more behind the scenes that you don't see. So for everything that you see, there's 1,000 things that you don't see. I'm gonna do this before I forget, because got a couple of other shows today. Baba Marcus Klein's birthday is today, so make sure y'all hit that African up and show them some love, support Freedom Home Academy International. They're enrolling as with the other African Center schools. Show them some support. Show them a donation. Share one of his teaching tools, with his students. Just love on that African, and shout them out. You know, for them Leos that's walking around, you know, it's Leo season. Stretch your mane out there. You understand? For the lion here that's walking around, you know, it's your season. So make sure y'all shout out that African tirelessly and thanklessly most of the time uh, for the benefit of our African future. You know, training up those warriors, keeping them chiseled. You know, he got that quote, "Stay chiseled." Okay, so you know he has a proven blacknificent program that is raising up a crop of warrior Africans right before our eyes in Chicago, across the states and across the globe. So, you know, these are actionable things that have demonstrated evidence for a long period of time, and you can see in the crop of those Africans the kind of greatness that goes along with it. So, happy born day to Bob Marcus Klein. www.f what is it? FHAINTL.org. Make sure y'all go over there. And we're gonna wrap this up right here.
Hey, I'm tuned in all day with you, brother.
So peace, love, Black Power. I don't know if I'm gonna be tuned in with me all day, but you know, hey, we're gonna work it out. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna work it out. So we 48, we between me. See you in a couple hours.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get back to the
motive is
grittiness,
best developed by recognizing the common enemy.
Knowledge bomb. What's the science, baby?